All right, welcome. We hope that you've been well and staying safe wherever you are today. We know it's been 6 weeks since we started doing these webinars. We know a lot's changed, and we know that many of you out there are making huge strides. All of us at the Scribbles team want to applaud you and continue to encourage you as we progress through these ever changing times. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are thrilled to have with us today some very talented people that I would like to introduce you to today. Oops. We have Debbie Sturba. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
She's the District Records Management Officer at Arlington Independent School District in Texas. Next, we have Greg Manzi. We've had Greg on before as well. He's the Director of Student Record Services at Clark County Schools. And finally, we have Ben Goldberg. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
He's the Manager of Data Quality at Baltimore City Public Schools. We are thrilled to have you here today, and we thank you for joining us. The format for today is a panel discussion. For those of you viewing, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section or even the chat section, and we will get those questions answered. We are going to have each one of our panelists introduce their district and let you know a little bit about how they've responded to recent events with schools closing. And Debbie, can you be our first?
Sure. Well, we found out probably a little bit before it all went official in Texas on the 13th of March, and immediately started preparing for some kind of remote response. And luckily, I have very talented bosses, and they were totally on board with me shifting things home. And so my husband helped me move some heavy equipment, and now my dining room is now my office.
Is that it there where you're sitting right now?
Yes, I'm not going to show you the kitchen. You can see the living room because no one ever goes in there. But I've been there's been an increase. I've been working steadily, and since basically the 13th of March.
Okay. And so Debbie, these stats that are on the screen right now, this is all Arlington Independent School District, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
we're moving to more and more digital responses in just about every aspect, be it instruction, before the pandemic, and instruction, instructional materials, data sharing. Meetings were actually becoming virtual more often than not. So this wasn't that much of a stretch. It was just the speed with which we had to respond.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to move to your next screen to discuss a little bit about, I think what you began with, about how everything kind of shifted pretty quickly on March 13th. So you can continue from here if you'd like.
Knowing what I know and what my day-to-day job is, that we were getting close to graduation, and that was going to jump to everybody's, the forefront of their mind was, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? And knowing that the bulk of our transcripts are digital, that I could access them anywhere, made the shift easy for me. We just had to get the word out. And so that was handled within, I'd probably say 8 hours of knowing that we went, we were going to be closed. And Scribbles immediately responded to my request to have a current student link so that we could make it easier for those students to have access and still send to college, because that's everyone's anticipation that they go back in August. And I've seen an increase, and I've been able to fulfill, I'm over 500 orders as of today, and that's a lot for us for April. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, Debbie. Greg, can you step us through Clark County?
Absolutely. So thank you. So Clark County School District, we're here located in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are home to 67% of the students in the state, serving over 320,000 students annually. Fifth largest district here in the United States. And we started this journey back in 2018 with automating our student record process. So right now, our office is responsible for managing graduating student records as well as for former students. All requests come through our office. With that, we've processed over 24,000 records in 2019, and about 10,000 records on top of that were for transfers with K-12 script transfer. Right now, we're in the process of converting everything to be electronic, a little more digital, get everything to be a little more paperless. And to do that, we do a combination of the conversion services as well as in-house scanning and some other digital projects that we have going on.
Very good. And so your motto here is just keep working, 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 huh?
Yeah, so when we found out, we kind of took that Dory approach of continuing and just trying to move people to being able to work online and work from home with maintaining a high percentage of access to our records. So that was a great aspect for us to be able to get to our student information system, attach records to orders, and still fulfill for customers. So to be able to deliver those official records in that electronic format, knowing that they can be verified then using the verified credentials website that Scribbles provides with the blockchain technology. So we've been able to keep pushing forward and just keep working is kind of what our motto has been.
That sounds perfect. All right, Ben, you ready?
Sure. Yeah. So we're in Baltimore City. We have, and the stats are there, but yeah, it's an older district. We have historical records dating back, into pre-1900. Luckily, most of our records in the last 20 years are already available online. So a lot of the focus for us has been on, in the last few years, has been on digitizing our microfilm, which is one of the main resources we were using, and having them available online has been much quicker. So as we've had to shift, so yeah, similar to what we said to other panelists here, is that March 13th date was the day we were all meeting in our office and scrambling because we knew that we were moving to work from home and that our schools were closing. We immediately started thinking about how we could move everything as much as possible online. That's when we were, prior to this, we were doing almost all of our requests were being mailed out. And this was the reason we needed to switch quickly to send them securely electronically through Scribbles. So we had great help from on the technical side and moving our support, changing all the messaging around on our website and doing that. And I've really been happy that that's the direction we moved. I think it was probably a good way to go anyway, but this gave us a real impetus to go there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. We are going to get to some questions now. I know this is what everybody is very excited to hear your answers to. So we're going to start with Debbie, but what was your biggest challenge with the closure?
Well, work-wise, it was going to be communication, I think. Staying in contact, knowing who, and because this changed, instead of being able to walk across the hall to my boss, reaching him, and the speed and things like that. But then also at home, it was now my child was at home, remote learning, and I have an older son in another state, one of the hardest hits. And so kind of fragmented and, worried, but mostly I would say it's just communicating, staying in touch, and to be honest, giving myself the grace to not complete 100% of what presents itself every day, that it's okay. I can do it tomorrow.
I like that. Grace, definitely. All right, Greg?
Yeah, so much of the same. I'd say communication for us was a big challenge with how rapidly all the information was changing, and the adjustments of what was expected in terms of the plans for us was definitely a challenge. That came with trying to assess our staff's availability. What equipment did they have at home? Did they all have computers? Did they have Wi-Fi to continue working? What was their ability to even telecommute and still function from their own home? So just being able to overcome those obstacles, making sure we were communicating with our staff and our team members and our leadership in terms of what was happening, while also maintaining a balance with our home life as well. I have two young kids in school, so working through that challenge, and a teacher as well. So we're all busy now, turning our home into our office and our workplace.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ben, you have anything to add to that?
No, I really echo a lot of what's been said. Yeah, I mean, my personally biggest challenge is, right, my wife and I are both working from home, and we have a very active 3-year-old who just wants to run around and play with us all day long. So that's a challenge. But no, work-wise, yeah, it's communication. I think just adapting to like change and then change again. So in our district, we were closed initially for 2 weeks, and then for 6 weeks, and then it's spread out. So I think at each stage we've said, okay, here's what we're going to do now, and then we've had to readjust and say, now that it's going to be closed longer, do we need to change our plan again? So yeah, it's just accepting constant change and moving forward.
I like that. Okay. So how did you, and most of you can discussed communication was something that you definitely had to really think about. So how did you communicate with students and third parties about your new process, and how did they respond, or how was it received? Debbie?
Oh, okay. Well, first thing, when I got word, I happened to be in the building, so I just printed up a bunch of signs and put them on all the doors with our official statement from the district and who to contact. And then I got a hold of our webmaster and had him help me with my page once he got the main district page taken care of. And then I started contacting the vendors, and because I had deliveries and there were things that, housekeeping. And I've just been checking in. And as Ben said, oh, we got to change that date because we're going to be closed longer, edits.
You're going to have to remember all the places that you
left a sign.
Yeah. Okay, Greg, how about you? How did people respond, or how did you communicate that message?
Yep. So we definitely relied on the communication on our website. Prior to even the closure, we had started to move towards being more digital. So we had stuffed responses that we were mailing out included information about using our website link instead, and how credentials could be verified online. To try to start that shift. So we had already started putting things in mailed out responses prior to the closure. So I think we were a little bit ahead in that way, but we definitely rely on the verification emails and the different pieces that come with Scriborder in terms of getting the message out there and the pop-up to notify customers of how we're doing business right now during the closure.
Ben?
Yeah, so we also used our website. We used the pop-up message that is available on Scribbles, so we changed that immediately. That was easy. Changed our outgoing voicemail message to explain our current process. And I would say the only real pushback we've gotten has been we've gotten a few calls from people who said they couldn't access the website because of their own lack of technology, lack of Wi-Fi, whatever. And for those, we've been able to set up a process with our administrative team to try to do it by phone, basically, and enter the information for them.
Okay. Well, that's great. You had a solution.
Yeah.
Your team came together and found that solution. That's good to hear. So our requests right now, things are definitely changing. I think in the beginning, everybody was kind of like shell-shocked. And now we see that we've got to put one foot in front of the other. So our requests increasing now, staying the same, declining since 6 weeks ago. What's happening now? Let's change it up. We'll go with Greg first.
Great. So we've saw a decline initially. We saw a drop in requests, but we're starting to see them pick back up as the school year comes to a close, and students are looking for their final transcript to be sent to those colleges or universities for their application or their post-secondary choice. So we've completed, since the closure, about 1,600 requests since the closure have been processed. So we've seen it go down a little bit, but it's starting to pick back up again for us.
Okay. Ben, are you seeing that same trend?
Pretty similar. I would say in our district, a lot of our requests are people looking for employment, actually, not always the recent grads looking for college. So those initially declined a lot, but have also been picking up. I think I was just looking at April, we were like 200 less than a usual month, which is not so crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Debbie, what about in Texas? What's happening there?
We've seen an increase in corporate verification for employment too, which is to be expected. But I would say I'm up almost 50% over last year's requests of any kind.
Oh, increased.
Yes.
Significantly. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know. All right. So if you could go back in time What would you have done differently? So you are 6 weeks ahead of the game. What would you have done differently, Ben?
Oh, that's a good question. I probably would have had a better plan on our digitization. Like I wish we had had. So we had been in we were planning to have a lot of our physical records picked up by Scribbles for digitizing, and now that our buildings are limited and travel is not encouraged, we're not doing that at this moment. So I guess I would have prioritized that. So we would have had the records there in Charlotte already. Yeah. But, oh well.
All right. That was Ben 6 weeks ago. That's what.
Yeah.
All right. Greg, what about you? What would you have done differently?
I think for us, what we would have done differently was done some trials of work from home and had people work out the kinks, because that was our early days, was a lot of technical support on our side, getting people to learn how to use their computer from home and get to the district resources. So I would have done smaller trials of that ahead of time to take that on in chunks instead of all at once with the entire staff.
That's a really good point. What about you, Debbie?
I would have to concur with that. The connectivity and the quality, that you're going to have, the latency you're going to have at home is definitely going to affect your connections. But I think I was toying with the idea, but I was waiting for the new budget year, July 1. I would have requisitioned 3 laptops and had them ready to go. And that way I could have had my staff helping me, because right now I'm really limited in what they can help me do. And so, yeah, just having my inventory in place.
All right. Yeah, all these are really good. So when you go back, will you kind of have these? Well, I guess, Greg, everybody already knows how to work at home now. You've been through the pain, right? So that's not something. What about Debbie? Will you go back and
Oh yes, I've got a requisition in to get 3 better than mine laptops. So probably when I'm supposed to be going back like June 1st, I'll start setting them up and having them ready.
And Ben, everything's going to be okay come to North Carolina now?
I think so. Yeah. Well, probably wait till the next fiscal year now, but yes, we'll make it work.
Great. Okay, I think this is the last question that I have for all of you. But what advice do you have for someone in another district in your same position? So you're still having to have the same tangibles, but totally in a totally different fashion. So what advice would you have? Greg?
I think the advice that I would give would be to evaluate your record condition and your record retention policies to figure out what you can quickly get off of paper into a digital format. Having that knowledge would help you kind of push this plan forward to be more remote and be able to work digitally.
Okay. And Debbie?
I think that's true. What do you have in inventory? Luckily, the district had been moving all of our employee and our student records to digital format for a number of years. And so I think we're well set for about 2 decades back. But if they need something older, then I do have to physically go in and find it. Luckily, that has been only about 5 or 6 things I've had to get.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What about you, Ben?
Say, embrace online solutions. So yeah, echo the need to have as much digitally available as possible. It's made work from home much easier. But also, again, I think, we were too stuck on mailing physical records, and being more open to sending them electronically using the security that's available through the blockchain has made a lot of sense for us. I'd advise that for anyone.
The blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I did have one more question. One more. What does the future hold for your records management plans? And you already kind of spoke to some of this in your advice. Do you have anything additional to add, Ben, while you're still unmuted?
Sure. No, just say, depending on budget, just getting full digitization of our old paper and microfilm records as soon, in the next few years, so that we can do it all really from home.
Okay, perfect. Greg?
I would say for us, we've tried to learn from past mistakes with decommissioning student information systems and make plans for the current information system and how we better operationalize making that digital. So we've got some projects with e-transcript, with digital cume folders to be paperless going forward instead of looking back and trying to reflect on how we convert paper into digital.
Okay, and Debbie?
We're actually on the cusp of implementing an EdFi compliant data warehouse, which will make it a lot easier for us to move across our various platforms and make sure that the data is right across them all. So that's coming for sure. And also we're going to definitely increase what we store, building plans, drawings, things of that nature that we don't have right now in an archive.
Okay. All right. So I can't believe how quick 20 minutes goes by, but it has gone by. Thank you so much, Debbie, Ben, and Greg, for being with us today and sharing how you've helped to lead your district through these most challenging of times. If you had a question in the chat box or the question and answer section, we will be sure to answer it via email. As always, this webinar has been recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Thank you again to our panelists for sharing. Thank you for viewing. And from all of us at Scribbles, we wish you a healthy and productive week.
Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. It was very nice to meet you, Greg and Ben.
Good to talk to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Great. Have a good day.